life. 'Cause I'm addicted to the good life. Yeah, lead the way. I follow. No need to say. No, with me, I heading now, babe. I follow. To the edge of it all. To the edge of it. 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 I follow, no need to say. Where we are heading now, babe. I follow to the edge of it all, to the edge of it. In this moment,
Yes.
I cannot say what's wrong or right.
No.
It's not hard to fool me,
No.
'cause I'm addicted to the good life.
Yes.
Yeah, either way, to the good life.
Yes.
Yeah, lead the way. I follow. No need to.
Hey everyone, what's up? Thank you for joining us on the Waiting Table podcast, where we have roundtable discussions about the hottest topics in weight loss with the coolest people in the bariatric community. I am Rob, waiting in vain. This is Murph, aka Murph's Losing It.
Hey.
Grab a chair, get cozy on this beautiful Saturday, and take a seat at the table. Murph, how's it going?
It's going great, man. I'm so excited to you're here.
This is weird too, like this,
yeah.
as
yeah,
opposed
like
to just
we're not-
looking.
I don't have to, I can just look right here.
Right.
Yeah, this is different. But I'm really enjoying it. I'm glad you're here. You got here safely. And so I live in Lansing. Rob's from Toronto, Canada. So he crossed the border just to be here, and we're hanging out. Mary's on with us. Hi, Mary. We're together. This is
Hi, Mary.
great. So yeah, super excited to recap and just kind of reintroduce ourselves. Our first podcast, it wasn't a disaster, but I mean, it was just, technical difficulties, and we were still learning, and we still are learning. But now we're going to just try to reintroduce ourselves now that we're together, share our stories, and talk about just us a little bit more, and maybe even more in depth. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to, just hit us up on YouTube. You can ask questions. On Instagram, you can ask questions. And on Facebook, I think they come to here.
Yeah.
I've never been on this end of this program before,
All these
so
things to look at.
usually, so we got a lot going on. But how you doing?
I'm good, man. So this is like episode 7/1 redone. So it's exciting. First off, thank you so much for inviting me into your home.
Yeah.
Like, this is, when I envisioned having a podcast, this is sort of what I had in mind. Like, sort of at a table. We're at a table, guys.
Yeah.
This is a real table.
Yeah.
And just having a discussion,
Yeah.
right? Well, obviously we live in different areas of the world, so we do what we can. And, I'm super happy that we could actually do it in person. Everything lined up with timing. I'm here for a wedding for a friend, or for a couple friends. And so I was just an hour and a half away. Let's go. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm super excited, man.
Yeah. This is cool.
We had a pre-podcast shot to celebrate.
We did.
We did.
Little half a shot. It was half a shot, but got to get those jitters out once in a while, and so
Yeah.
cheers to y'all.
Yeah. So with episode 1, it was very much about introducing sort of the waiting table and the idea of the waiting table. Oh yeah. Hey. My left side's my best side. So
Yeah,
we're
right.
good. Yeah. Like, so the whole idea behind episode 1 was to just talk about the waiting table in general, what it is, why we came up with the name, our whole idea behind it.
Yeah.
And and some of our goals with it. And it's interesting when I was going through some of the goals that we had, some of the things that we talked about with episode 1, because I think we've already achieved a lot of those, right? So it's really, really cool to revisit some of those things. But, Murph, what, for you, the idea, and this was a process for us, right?
Mhm.
Why did we come up with the waiting table? Why are we called the waiting table?
Yeah, so it's really important to me and my family. I mean, as you see, we have a really long table with these benches. We had company over last night. We try to host a lot. Being at the table is just, it's a very special, sacred place for me and my family. This is where we break bread, and we fellowship together. And my wife had a study group, like I said last night, and so we study here, we do schoolwork here. Our kids are homeschooled; they do their schoolwork here. So the table for me just means a lot. And inviting you all and Rob, to join me and my family to my table. I mean, you got to meet my kids. I mean,
Right.
You're a part of my family now, and we're sitting now at my table. Like, what an honor and a privilege it is to be sitting here with you. And this is what, for me, life is about. Where at a time, sitting at the table for me was about indulging my addiction or
Right.
my suffering and wallowing in self-pity or gaining weight and just being miserable. Now the table for me is a sacred place, and this is a special place where good memories are made and good habits are formed and friendships are made and relationships. And so that's what it means to me.
And that's awesome, especially if you talk about sort of what the table signified for us in our previous life, right? Air quotes, I can't see on this side.
Here,
exactly. This is where we would eat. This is where a lot of our poor habits came from. This is the area where we sort of got to that lifestyle we had previously that we've worked so hard to change, right? And so, I know for me, similar to you with my culture, it was always about gathering around the table. I remember when I was a kid, we would be running around at family parties, and then all the parents would be sitting around the table just talking. And I remember thinking, I'm like, oh, I'm not going to do this. It's so boring. And then as we're older, our kids are running around. We're just the ones sitting around the table and just sort of talking and enjoying each other's company. And so for me, that's very much about what I wanted to achieve with this, right? We wanted to invite people in our community, yourselves, to join us, to discuss some of these things that are important and pertinent to us. But the other part of it for me was, and we went back and forth on little semantic things about the name, about like, are we waiting table or are we waiting tables, right? And the idea of serving, right? If you're waiting tables, you're serving people. And for me, a big part of this was the idea of serving the weight loss community, because something that was consistent with both Murph and I is when we started our respective journeys. I'm 2 years in, Murph's a year in. It was hard to find other males that we can connect, that we were able to connect to, that we were able to reach out to. And for me, it was a matter of imagining where I will be in 1 year or 2 years or 3 years or whatever the case might be, because I didn't know, right? This was all very foreign to me, and I think for a lot of us. So, being able to put out these different things, and we've already done that, right? Like Dee had this amazing comment on one of our, I think it was a Q&A episode about us sharing sort of the mental struggles of going through all this and some of the challenges we have mentally as opposed to just physically, which is what we all think about. That was a big goal, to be able to share these struggles and give people an outlet to connect with others, right? So that's where the name comes from.
And it's very personable. We wanted to be personable, and we didn't you don't even have to have bariatric surgery to sit at this table. You don't have to be in great shape or run a triathlon or hit the gym every single day, or you don't even have to have good eating habits or anything like that. Like, everyone is welcome at the table, and we're just trying to do life together and just be together and encourage each other and love on each other and just be a family, because life's tough. The past couple of years have been really tough. I mean, on everybody's the mental strain has just been so great, and just being there for each other, and then especially for people that are dealing with some of the things that we've dealt with. If we can be there as support in any way and serve that part of the community, we want to do that. And so that's both of our hearts, and then family, of course. The reason why we both made this decision and are doing what we're doing is because we love our families and our kids, and we both saw that we wanted to be more active with them. And so anyways, that might be the next question. I don't know what you got over there. I lost my notes, but I'm just
that's good. But it's interesting to see how everything's evolved over this past 6-7 weeks, right? Like, because the initial goal was, okay, well, we want to be able to relate with the other males in the bariatric community. That was a big part of it, right? And you look at our guests, and we've had 2 female triathletes. Sorry. We've had Mary, who's been our long-term weight loss surgery success story. We've had both our wives on. We've had both our daughters.
There's Dee.
Hey, Dee.
What's up, Dee?
So it's interesting that, even though our focus has been the male experience, we've been able to really connect with a lot of our female audience, a lot of the females who have gone through a lot of things similar to us. I know, right? Great to see you guys in the same room, right?
This is crazy. We're both,
And FYI, in case you guys didn't see Murph's story, he is under one. He's lighter than me now. You are 180.
184.
184.
So I'm down 280 pounds as of
That's crazy.
It was that Thursday, I think. Yeah, it's nuts. I thought I was done at 199, and then I hit 189, and then now I'm another. Yeah, it's the success I'm having. I'm feeling super blessed, and I was telling Rob, I get really emotional talking about it because I don't feel like I'm, doing everything perfectly or the way I'm supposed to, but I'm having great success, and
Right.
I'm really enjoying this life, the second chance at life that I've got. So thank you.
So let's actually talk about that. Let's talk about that first chance at life that you had and some of the challenges that you had. So, for anyone who does not know us, and especially because we're going to be reposting all of these on YouTube.
Yeah.
For anyone who does not know Murph's Losing It, tell us about yourself.
Yeah. So, I'm a father of 7. I've been through a divorce. I've switched careers a few times, and I've started going to school a few times, and haven't really had a chance to finish. And so, ups and downs of life, right? And then 7 years ago, my aunt passed away, and I found myself in a really, really dark place. She was kind of like my superhero. She was just the greatest woman you will have ever met. She's just funny, energetic, outgoing. She was the party planner for the family. Yeah. She was the glue that held everybody together. And when she passed away, she was 46 years old, had a massive heart attack, and just like that, she's gone. And it hit me hard. And in a place where I should have said, Auntie wasn't, she didn't have a healthy relationship with food. She wasn't fit, or active, or, she wasn't really taking care of her body. As much as I loved her, you can't tell people that, but, things happen like this. And then, and instead of me learning from her mistake, I said, well, you know what? If she can't make it in life, I got no chance at it, because she was amazing. She was great. And I'm just, like I said, I've been divorced, and I've got all these other things, I'm a school dropout, and, and if she can't do it, neither can I. So I started eating and eating and eating, and I got up to 464. My wife and I think that I may have been a little higher than 464, but that was my official weigh in at the doctor. And that's when they said, you might want to consider bariatric surgery. My back was really messed up. I had 4 bulged herniated discs in my lower back. I slept in a recliner for 3 years, didn't sleep with my wife, slept in a recliner, couldn't do anything. Had to be pushed around in a wheelchair. I had a walking stick. It was just awful. It was just like, and it wasn't living. And I'm watching my kids get older. I always cry. I'm a crybaby. And I'm watching my kids, just get older, and I'm just missing so much, and so like I said, I've got 7 kids. They're now 4 years old to 16 years old. And I miss so much of their life. And I said, enough's enough. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm sick and tired of missing my kids and not being able to do things with them. I got to do something. Drastic times call for drastic measures. And so, hook me up, doc. I need it. And so I lost 120 pounds before my surgery, just counting calories, cutting out pop, and, trying to lay off the ice cream and all the, try to create some healthy habits with food early on, and set myself up for success. I wanted to lose 20 pounds or 100 pounds before surgery. They only wanted me to lose 20. Yeah. But before my surgery, I lost 100, and then I went on a liquid diet for 2 weeks, lost another 20. So pre-op, I got down to 344. Is that right? Yeah, 344. So I lost 120 total. And then now I've lost, I don't even know. I'm horrible at math, but so now I'm down 280 total. Feeling great. I'm running with my 6-year-old. She loves to run. I'm running with her. I rode every single ride at Cedar Point. there's nothing I can't do. I did cartwheels right out there in the
Yeah.
front lawn. I just started my new job this week,
Which is awesome.
I work 3 12s overnight. I'm dead. Man, last night I finally got to sleep in the bed and I'm feeling good. But I'm taking my life back, you know.
Yeah.
You got to trust the process and the steps, and but I'm starting to feel successful. Where, you know, those other things in life, the ups and downs, the bumps that you hit, they're not as big as what the rest of your life could be.
Right.
You know, and don't live in that moment. Don't live in today. You know, today will pass. Think about tomorrow. Think about your kids. Think about, you know, and so that's what I'm trying to do every single day. You know, living in the moment, living in the now. So
yeah.
So that's a little bit of my backstory. And I'm a drummer.
Mm-hmm.
And you're a drummer.
So it's crazy.
Then, yeah.
Hearing your story it's so interesting because, you know, when I had the idea of doing this podcast, you know, there are people there, you know, we're all connected within this community, and there are a couple of people who I had, you know, in mind, but you were always one of the main people I wanted to discuss with this, because you were always open to reaching out. I loved your story. I loved how you connected with people. And the more and more we started talking about it, the more, we try.
Comment says you guys look so dapper. Fresh haircuts, nice shirts.
Oh, this thing,
you.
you know.
You know, we try.
Yeah, and so as I started looking into it and sort of exploring it a bit more, I just realized how alike we were in a lot of the different things. So, you know, with my story, I got up to my highest weight that I was actually weighed on a scale was 379. But again, just like you had mentioned, I guarantee I was over that because, you know, you don't want to really go on a scale back then, right?
You never want to get on.
Oh, for sure.
No.
And so, yeah, 379 was my highest. I had the same challenges. I had 3 herniated discs in my back. I was in a wheelchair or a scooter. You know, we'd go to Disney or we'd go to the zoo and I'd be in a scooter at like 35 years old, 36 years old. Walked with a cane. I couldn't walk 3 houses down. Everything about my life had to be pre-planned and decided because I needed to understand the pain that I was going to be in or the discomfort that I was going to be in. And so, yeah, life, you know, similar to what you had said, like it wasn't living. My daughter at that time was, you know, 4 or 5, and I felt like I had missed so much. You know, she'd learned to ride a bike, but I was sort of like, I was sitting from a chair outside as opposed to being with her to learn all these things. And so, yeah, I was just missing on so much. And then I had to go on disability. Actually, so before that, actually, no, it was at that time. So I had to go on long-term disability because, so with my job, I do medical device sales. And a big part of my job is to do nurse training for specific wound care products.
We're both in the medical field too.
See that?
Look at that.
Same thing.
Just realize that.
There's going to be more, man. We're the same person.
It's crazy.
And so, yeah, we were, I was doing this education for, it was like about 100 nurses. And as I'm standing up there doing this talk that I've done many, many, many times, my voice starts wavering. My legs are shaking. I'm sweating because I'm in so much pain because I couldn't stand there anymore. And my customer had to be like, you know, go sit down. And I had to sit there for 40 minutes while my customer did my presentation. And for me professionally, I never want to present myself as that. Like, it's the worst. And so we got paparazzi here. And so, yeah, it was the worst. So I had to go on long-term disability. My manager at that time tried to convince me, and I was like, no, I'm not going on disability. In sales, you work for what you get, right? And eventually she sold me on the idea by saying, you got a family, right? Like, work is work. It's going to end at the end of the day, and you need to be there for your family. And so I was like, okay, I'll go on short-term disability for 2 weeks. It'll be great. I'll come back. I won't be in pain. And that ended up being 1.5 years off. And during that time, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. You know, I started looking into bariatric surgery. My chiropractor at that time, after a very, very painful adjustment where I couldn't move for 45 minutes and I was in so much pain, was just like, have you considered bariatric surgery? And I was like, yeah, for sure. But in my head, I'm like, there's no way. I'm going to do it myself. I could do it myself. Past 10 years, I hadn't done myself, right? Like I bet on myself all the time that I can do it, that I'm self-sufficient, and I lost, right? And it's different. I'm not betting anymore with my life. I'm betting my kids' life, my time with my family. And so I was like, yeah, okay, I'm going to start going to these appointments, because in Canada, you have to have 4 appointments with different specialists to get approved by our Ontario healthcare, right? And so we did it, and I just wanted to hear it out. And at a certain point, I was like, nope, yeah, I'm going to do it. And then my mom passed. And so my dad had passed very young. He was, I think, around 62 when he had passed. And when my mom passed, she was 66. And I started doing this math on a napkin, like literally on a napkin. I started writing it down. And I realized that my parents were only, they weren't very much older than me, right? I'm 39, so that was, 37 at that time. And I look back and my parents didn't have those comorbidities. They didn't have those health issues that I had. And so I was like, if this is any correlation, I have maybe 20 years left with my kids. And now when I look back at it, I actually don't think I would have lasted more than 10 more years. Yeah. Right. Because of what I was going through, because, I was on 15 medications for high blood pressure, for cholesterol, for fatty liver, for pain because of my back. Yeah. Right. We did everything. Sleep apnea. Yep. Super, super high setting. And so I was just like, I need to do something because I'm not going to be here. Yeah. And so, did the surgery, and my approach had always been a bit different. Right. Like you, I had worked hard prior. I had lost about 90 pounds prior. And my goal to do that was to create a lifestyle that I wanted to live for the rest of my life. So I wasn't cutting carbs. I wasn't cutting anything. I was just eating sensibly and controlling my overall intake, because I knew that's what I would be doing in the future. Right. Sure. And if there was something I wanted, I had it. I just had it in very small quantities so I could sort of enjoy, because I didn't want to be that guy sitting at the table brooding because you're eating the thing that I wanted to eat, right? Like in a bad mood because I'm just staring at you with that pizza. I wanted to be able to be like, yeah, okay, I'll have a little piece of pizza and then that's it. Right?
All things in moderation.
For sure, which was not practiced previously. And that's sort of been what I've been doing since, right? Like I know that I'm part of a lot of groups in the bariatric community. And one question is often, how many carbs do you have? Are you keto? And I tell them, especially with a lot of my training that I'm doing, I'm at like around 50 to 60% carbs, right? But it's because of the rest of my lifestyle. So, this is all a big learning journey on how we're going to experience and experiment with a lot of the different things we're doing. And you sort of just have to be able to adjust, right? Yeah. And it's led us here to doing a podcast, right?
It's been such a great journey. I would do it again. I hope I don't ever have to, but definitely there are learning curves, and then there are people that might know a little bit more than you, like your doctors or just friends. And so at the time for me, after I'd had my surgery, my experience with the hospital and my dietitian, my relationships with my doctor, it just wasn't great. And so I was on my own, and then I reached out to Rob, and then the other Rob, My Weight is History, and
episode 3, guys.
Yeah, episode 3. Check Rob out. He's amazing. And then that's where I think the waiting table comes in, is because we have these experiences together. And your doctor can only tell you so much. Your nurse practitioner or your dietitian, or they give you keys and tools and advice to use. But until you get out here and you talk to people that have experienced the same thing as you or are just like you, working in the medical field, drummers, dads, we've got so much in
Yeah.
common. And then, iron starts to sharpen iron and we start helping each other out. And so that, I think, just the way we met is how we want other people to meet. You know what I mean? Like we're trying to facilitate how we met. We met on Rob's on My Weight is History, Rob's Monday night men's group. I listened to your story. I heard your story.
Yeah.
And then, and so we want to facilitate that.
Right.
And bring everybody together, because you can't, I mean, no two bodies are alike. And, you gotta talk it out, and you gotta, figure out what works for you, what doesn't work for you. And so that's why we're here.
And the other thing too is like, it's great to have support. Like we both have partners who are very, very supportive, family, friends who are very supportive, but there's nothing that can replace the experience of other people who've gone through the same thing. Right. And so being able to reach out to others, who have gone through the same experience, through the same surgeries, through the same journey as us, it's awesome because it gives us the ability to sort of foresee what we want and how to navigate through that. Right. Which is a big part of it, because I think, one of the main things that people would tell us in one of my groups was the first year is a gift. You can lose the weight. It'll come off fairly quick. It's such a big change in terms of your old habits. It's after year one where the work comes in, and that's where you have to be able to establish those habits. You've lost all this weight at this point. What have you done to make sure that you're set up for the future? Right.
Yeah.
And, that's part of what we wanted to do. Like, that's why, having Mary on 2 weeks ago was a big thing for us, because, Mary had done it for 10 years at this point. Right.
Yeah. Her surgery is coming up.
It's coming up
just after yours. Right? Yeah. So.
Yeah. And so like being able to reach out to Mary and connect ourselves with Mary, but other people with Mary.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, if you want a blueprint on how to do it, and if you want to hear about some challenges that people had to go through, but how they were able to get themselves back in there. Like that's what it's all about. Right. So,
and what I liked about Mary's story too, is that even 9 years after having surgery, she thought she had lost the weight that she wanted to lose. And then she said, no, I want to lose some more. Or, she fell off the bandwagon. She fell off the tracks a little bit. And she said, no, I want to lose some more. And, she started with yoga. She's always did yoga. And now she's talking about weight training and bodybuilding and stuff like that. And so it's like, don't think inside the box of just that 1 year gift, or, you know what I mean? Like, I appreciate when people say that, because I know it's true, but don't let that be like a scare tactic for you, or intimidating in any way. You know what I mean? Consider it a gift. And then just keep, use that time to build up your mental strength and build up that relationship with food. And that, for me, I think has been very key, is building up a healthy relationship with food, what I should eat, what I shouldn't eat, what I know my body accepts or rejects, or, what's going to make me big again, and you can see the scale going up and down sometimes and things like that. But now I think I've got a pretty good, idea of what I can and can't have. And the amount of food hasn't really changed much for me over the past year. After 2 years, are you eating the same?
No, I can eat a lot more.
You can eat more?
Yeah, I would say my overall intake is, especially when I'm training, is close to around 1,800 calories a day, 16 to 1,800 calories a day, which is, it's a lot. And it's sort of in line with what we were taught as, okay, this is sort of, regular intake that you should be having, right? The 2,000 calories a day thing. Yeah. But I think that's where, as you had mentioned, like you learn about your strengths and weaknesses, your relationships with food, and what you can and can't do. And now it's no longer about, I don't have control over things. I don't have control over my relationship with food. It's okay. I've learned about things. I know exactly what to do. I know exactly how to manage these things, right? Exactly. I know how to say no if I need to. And so I think that's what it is. Like Mary, you had mentioned, right? Being able to make those distinctions and have those make those decisions about the food that you have and how much you're eating, and being able to be happy with it, as opposed to just being miserable and falling off the wagon there, right? So,
and just eating to sustain.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not, when you take out the emotional eating piece, and you're just thinking like, and I tell my kids this all the time, because if it were up to them, they'd be snacking every hour on the hour, and I would say, you just had breakfast, that was fuel to get you through the next 2 or 3 hours until you need, until you get to lunch.
Yeah.
And then that's fuel to get you to dinner, and if you need a snack or something to fill in, make it a healthy one or a good, or a filling one or something for me, with protein, because I know this, I know which protein bars are going to stick a little bit more than others. You know what I mean? And if I know I've got a 4-hour window till dinner, I'll use this protein bar instead of that protein bar, or maybe I'll have a fiber brownie instead, and so it's just all a learning curve. And like I said, every body is different. So, what, Mary says she's around 1,700 calories a day. So she's 10 years post-op, eating at 1,700 calories a day. I started writing, making a journal of everything that I ate after we talked with Mary, and then I started working and just totally fell off the wagon, and but I didn't eat a whole lot at work. I was super busy, and
it sometimes that could be the struggle, like, how am I going to eat, right? So in Toronto.
Hi Mary, I have your husband.
Hi wife.
Daniel's on here too. What's up, man? Good to see you.
So they had the Toronto Western Hospital, or the University Health Network. They started a bariatric program, and it's a peer mentor program for the bariatric program in Toronto. And I was chosen to be one of the peer mentors for the inaugural program. And so I connected with my mentee. I think it was like last week, maybe a week and a half ago. And it was amazing talking to them and having those discussions about, sort of seeing it from his point of view, right? And it brought me back to that point when it was just like very new to me. I was trying to decide what I want to do and imagining, what's this life going to be, right? Because he was asking, can you eat? How much am I going to be eating 1,000 calories a day? Back then I didn't know, right? I didn't know I'd be eating 1,800 calories a day. I didn't know I'd be able to move. I didn't know I'd be able to do a triathlon or ride my bike.
Right.
I struggled to walk 3 houses down. I would drive down my street. And so it's crazy to have those discussions. And so I guess one of my questions for you is, back then, before you started, or right when you started, what were some of the questions you had, or some of the questions you were wondering about, or you were unsure about, that you wish you would have been able to ask?
Pre-op or
pre-op?
Pre-op. Yeah, I mean, I think we all try to think long term. Like where am I going to end up? What you want to set goals, but you don't know which goal, especially when you're pre-op, you don't know which goal is beyond, reason, or beyond, thinking too big. If I would have said pre-op that I'm going to get down to 184 pounds, like that's going to be my goal, is to get down to 184 pounds, I would have thought that I was crazy.
For sure.
I was thinking, my BMI, according to the doctor, is supposed to be, my weight is supposed to be 165 to 169 or something like that. And I knew that was kind of unrealistic. Because I'm short, and that just seems really, really thin for me. I've never been that thin. And so I was thinking, if I could just hit 199, I'll be happy with that.
For sure.
And so I think setting goals. So the questions that I would ask is, like, I don't know. I didn't ask a whole lot of questions. I just kind of jumped in with both feet and did it. No, does it hurt? Am I going to need skin removal surgery? Am I going to continue having sleep issues? And a lot of these questions that I had, or even fears that I had, just kind of fizzled out. And it's not so much a blur. It just happened so quick. And like, here I am, I'm at 184 pounds. My mind is still blown. I look in the mirror. I don't recognize who I am. I'm still dealing with some body dysmorphia type things because of my loose skin. but my mental state is just so much more solid
Yeah.
than it's probably ever been. And I think, even the questions that I had back then, they're completely irrelevant if I had them, because I'm not the same person asking those questions that I was then. So I'm like, I'm not even answering your question, but I'm trying to,
you're
I'm
not.
trying to, I don't really mean, I asked all the questions, I guess, to the doctor, but it's like, it's such an unknown.
Yeah.
You don't know what it's going to look like.
That's exactly it. Right.
And so to ask specific questions about things that are so far into the future, or even a year into the future, it's just, I didn't ask because some of the answers I didn't want to know.
Yeah.
But some of the answers I'm just not going to know until I get there. So I was just kind of hanging on, white knuckling it, and just hanging on for the ride. And I was in so much pain at the time too, and it just take me, just do it, do what you got to do, and just fix this, and so I was desperate, I think, but I'm glad I did. So.
It's crazy. You just said, take me, fix this. And you look over the span of 1 year, and back then you never would have thought in 1 year, I'm going to be this. I am going to be fixed. Like me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be on CPAP. My heart condition is going to be gone. I'm going to have a clean bill of health.
Yeah.
I am going to have no medication. Like, you never would have fathomed that idea. And so, like, whenever people ask me, and my mentee had asked me sort of in regards to setting goals, in regards to, what to look forward to, I always say to people who ask me this, it's easy to get caught up in the short term, right? It's easy to get caught up in, oh, well, this week I need to lose 5 pounds. And then you hit that stall early on and you're stressing the hell out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I stalled for 9 weeks.
Man.
I think 9 weeks I lost 2 pounds.
Wow.
And everyone is freaking out when they don't lose 7 pounds early on per week. And for me, like, the big part of it was I needed to keep long term. I needed to constantly tell myself, this is the life I want to live at the end. At the end of this, I want to be able to walk. I want to be able to spend time with my family. I want to be happy with how I look physically, and confident with all the things that I can do and with myself. And I think if you continuously remind you of that, all the little stalls, all the little things just sort of go by the wayside. Just focus on that. And focus on all the good things, right? Like, so, even with the skin, right? Like, I had skin removal surgery, and I know a lot of people were saying early on, it's like, oh, wear it with a badge of honor. I'm like, yeah, for sure. No, I'm going to get removed, right? Like, yeah, I'm 100% happy. Prior to the surgery, I was super happy. I was super happy with where I was, but I still felt like I wanted to keep improving, right? Like, that's what it's all about. Keep improving and being happy with what you have.
Yeah.
And it's not that I wasn't happy. It's just I wanted to be happier. This is something that I felt like I really wanted. D191 last week, also under me. Good job. I'm 193 now.
Man.
That's amazing. Keep looking at my body, wondering what number on the scale will correlate with what I want to see in the mirror. Well, let me ask you this, D. When you look in the mirror, if you were to not look at the scale at all and you were to look at the mirror, are you happy with where you are now?
Right.
Right. If you are, then who cares what the scale says, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's, I'm going to say the F word, is the mind fuck that we sort of go through. Is that number has so much power over us. Right.
Yeah.
As much as we say we don't want it to, or it doesn't, it does. Right.
Yeah.
I have a friend who will weigh himself every day, and that's fine. But he stresses over any little change. Right. And some people do. And it's how you monitor.
Yeah.
Right?
I have been weighing in almost every single day.
Right.
Until recently. I recently hit a spot where I'd look in the mirror, or I'd hear my wife's comments or my kids' comments, and I'd actually think about what they're saying. They're saying I look good.
Yeah.
They're saying I look
good.
healthy. I'm riding rides at the world, at Cedar Point. I'm eating whatever I want in moderation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm watching my diet. And I got off the scale for like 3 weeks. I weighed in on Thursday. That was the first time I'd weighed in, and I saw 184. And I'm so glad I weighed in because I needed that pick me up.
Yeah.
Because I was working and I was stressed and I was just, feeling kind of like blah. I got home from work, or I woke up at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon because I work third shift. And I got up and my 16-year-old says to me, "Dad, did you lose more weight?" And I was like, "I don't know. I haven't weighed in a while." And he's like, "You should weigh in. You look thinner." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, really?" Like, I can see my ribs and it's weird, but okay. Like, I'm still very self-conscious about it. But at the same time, got on the scale, 184. And I'm like, all right, that's exciting. That means I hit 280 pounds, which wasn't a goal, but now it's a milestone.
Yeah.
And so there's success in that. But at the same time, like if you're happy and you're doing things that you couldn't do a year ago or 6 months ago or 3 months ago, think about that success and how far you've come. And the person you were then is really thanking the person you are now. And really proud of you, and I'm proud of you, man. 191.
That's crazy. That's awesome, man.
That's awesome. That's a good, healthy weight for anybody. I mean, that's really good. You should be proud of yourself for that.
And, even talking about body dysmorphia, and you had mentioned, that guy who was at the beginning, looking, if he were to look at you now, he'd be proud of you. And it's interesting. One of my posts I had talked about, and this was after the discussion with D actually, about body dysmorphia and the idea that, when we were bigger, if I were to say, "Hey, you're going to be 167, you are going to be super happy with how you are, how you look, what you've become, everything. And you would be absolutely happy with everything. Nothing wants to change." And then I got to 167 and I'm 5'10", 167. So I was skinny and I was fairly scrawny. And, at that time it was just like, okay, well, there's this that I'm not happy about that I want to work on. And so I was like, okay, I want to get heavier. I want to start lifting weights. I want to fill out a lot more. And then I did that. And then now it's like, okay, now it's this. So I think a lot of this, and we talked about being able to adjust, is sort of being able to adjust your mindset too, right? So, as you had mentioned, celebrate those positives, celebrate those achievements, those things that you did, and don't get caught up on all those little things, right? Because, that number, if you get to the point where you're just like, okay, I've hit this lowest, now I want to start putting on some weight, some muscle. Yeah. You got to make sure that you don't start getting on yourself because that was your goal, right?
Yeah.
And I found that was a bit of a challenge for me because I was like, oh, okay, I want to get thicker. I want to get bigger. And so I'm 193 now. I have lower body fat than I did back then. But in my head, sometimes I'm still like, I'm close to 200 again. And I'm just like, crap, right? I don't want to get to 200 again because I feel like that's going to be that slope I'm just going to start sliding, right? So again, you have to be able to adjust and keep things in perspective, right? I think that's one of the big challenges that we're going to have. And no one said that after 1 year, after 2 years, it was like, done, you're fixed and you're good. Yeah. It's just like anything in life, we're going to have to keep working at it, right?
Yeah. And something I've been thinking about lately is if it's really like a numbers game, if you're getting caught up on numbers on a scale and how much you weigh, in the grand scheme of things, it's a bit irrelevant because the whole point of life, the number that you want to reach is 100 or 99 or, you know what I mean? Like we want to live as long as we can,
right?
How many years have you added to your life by getting down to 191?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the number. That's the number that matters to your family the most. That's the number that should matter to us the most. We get caught up on, calories and macros and all these scales and that's not really the goal. The goal is to be here as long as we can for our family and our loved ones.
That's it.
So get hung up on that number, that's what I've been, that's just me.
That's such a good point.
I'm preaching to the choir, like that, or I'm preaching to myself rather. And maybe the choir, I don't know, but that's just something I've been telling myself lately. It's just, I didn't think, I just turned 40 this year. And there was a brief moment where I thought to myself, I don't think I'm going to hit my 40th birthday. I was in so much pain. And now I'm here on my 40th, and I'm going to be here on my 41st and my 42nd,
Right.
and 43rd. And I know I'm going to keep going, and life has just begun for me all over again, fresh start. And I'm excited about that.
That's a really good way of putting it. Sort of, if it's a numbers game, then look at how many years you've added onto your life again, right? Because I don't think we think about that as much as it's sort of like at the very beginning, this is what I want to do. I want to add time to my life. I want to add years. And then
that's what it's all about.
It starts changing to, I want to lose this much and this much. And
I got to keep up with the Robs, and you got to, no, it's not a competition. We're here to help each other. And that is truly the point of the waiting table is, serving each other,
right?
Loving on each other, helping each other. Who cares? I, with all due respect, I don't really care how much you weigh. I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, man.
You know what I
too.
mean? I'm glad you're sitting right next to me, and
right.
We're healthy, and we're here for our kids and our family. That's what matters.
Imagine if we did this, old Rob and old Murph.
Yeah.
That wouldn't.
It would be depressing. I mean, it might be sad.
You would only see half of our faces.
Yeah, we would be out here. We wouldn't have room.
Exactly, right?
But now we can share a screen, and we're this is what it's about. Is it's not a competition. It's not like for instance, Dusty. I think everybody knows Dusty. Dusty 300, right? I just hit 280 pounds loss. My first thought was, I'm catching up to Dusty.
Yeah.
Like, what? No, it's not a catch-up thing. It's not a competition.
Yeah.
It's not to see who can lose the most weight. It's
right.
It's living your best life, being happy, being there for your family.
Yeah.
That's ultimately what it boils down to. That's the point.
So, we talked about, and we have a few more minutes left, so we're okay. We talked about some of the things that are those achievements that we've had. And so anyone else want to throw in theirs as well. But Murph, what was your biggest NSV or non-scale victory?
Man. Gosh, so many. Getting a job. Again, being on my feet for, walking 20,000 steps. And now I work in a hospital as a nursing assistant, and I'm able to help other people. And I'm seeing people on a regular basis that are obese and having problems, and I've got another avenue in my life where I can love on somebody.
Yeah.
And just for a brief minute, somebody said to me, that they were down 80 pounds, and I was like, good for you.
Yeah.
And I can truly celebrate that with them. And so, it might have been a scale victory for them, but for me, there's a non-scale victory. The fact that I get to celebrate that with them and know what that feels like to be down 80 and you're still working on yourself. And that opened up a door for me to say, I just actually hit my 280th pound today. And he was like, no way.
Yeah.
And he's blown away. And so conversations and spending time with people and talking about this sort of stuff is probably the biggest non-scale victory that I have.
Yeah.
Being able to share my story.
That's it, for sure.
And understand the mind of somebody who's in pain and struggling and suffering.
Yeah.
And being empathetic towards them.
Mm-hmm.
That's not just an empathy that you learn overnight. You have to experience these things. You know what I mean? You have to really understand, there's a lot of fitness instructors out there or people that try to sell you stuff or, and they've been fit their whole lives and they don't know what it's like to have back pain or and some do. I'm
right.
Generalizing, but there's a lot of people out there that they've been fit their whole lives, and so that's a really cool, I guess, non-scale victory for me is that I can empathize and really genuinely love on people and support them, having come from a place where I know what you're feeling, I know how you're feeling, I know what you're going through. And that's genuine. I like that. Yeah.
I think so. I think that would be a big one for me too. So being able to transfer the experiences that we've had and being able to help other people in regards to that was a huge part for me, whether it was with peer mentoring with Toronto Western, whether it's doing this, whether it's all the people that I have talked to on Facebook or on Instagram, daily messages from people talking about different things, asking questions. That's a big part. And, that is where I see me bringing value to the world, right? Being able to help people get through this part of their life and get their life back, as you had mentioned, right? So that's a big part for me in regards to some of the big NSVs. I think our pad thai's here.
Pad thai's here.
Woo! Good timing. Yeah, so for me, I 100% agree with you. That's sort of the big part. But I think the other one for me is just the level of confidence I have now compared to back then. We had talked about this previously about how when you're larger, you would do certain things. You would act a specific way to try to get the heat off you, to try to get the attention off you for whatever the case might be. Like I would always be that loud, really boisterous, rambunctious guy. I always make fun of myself because I wanted to do it before anyone else would make fun of me. And now it's sort of like, I'll still do that, but I can see myself in this light that I never saw myself in before, and be happy with myself and confident with what I bring as a father and as a partner, as you know, what I do professionally. It's just next level, and it feels amazing to be able to do that. So
that's awesome, man.
Yeah, man.
It's exciting.
So we have time for D is sharing his NSVs being able to run at 12 on the treadmill. Started in May, and now I'm usually the best in class. Also do real push-ups now, which is amazing.
Yes.
Right? Like these are the things, right?
Yeah.
Like nothing.
I'm not there yet. I can't do push-ups yet.
No?
No. I'm trying. I'm still doing no offense, ladies, but like the girls push-ups where my knees are on the ground and I do push-ups on the sink and stuff, but I'm still not doing push-ups. I want to do pull-ups,
Yep.
Still not there yet.
Start with negatives. Those are good.
And then running at 12. Is that the speed, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean? Okay.
Or the elevation, but probably the
elevation. That's crazy. Yeah, I got up to like 4 or 5, I think, on the treadmill. So that's insane. Good job, man.
Yeah, good stuff, man.
Yeah.
So we are almost out of time, but again, for anyone who is just watching this for the first time, again, the whole goal behind this is to really connect people going through this journey, going through whether it's weight loss surgery or any part of this journey, and really, give you guys a forum to discuss and relate to people. And, again, our goal is to serve the weight loss community, right? So any questions, please do reach out to us. Feel free to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube. You want to shout out your Instagram handle?
Yeah. So hit me up on Murph's Losing It. I'm losing weight, but I'm also losing my mind typically because I have 7 kids and a wife in nursing school. And so losing it, Murph's Losing It. And then you are...
I am at Waiting in Vain, and we are at the _waiting_ table. And so that's all the time we have tonight or today.
Today, this afternoon.
Daytime.
Our pad thai is here. We're getting ready. Chris Phelps. Hey, watch the whole episode if you can. We're going to post it here on the Waiting Tables page. And then, of course, we'll share it on our own pages and things like that. Thanks,
everyone, for joining us on the Waiting Table podcast, where we're serving the weight loss community.
1 pound at a time.
All right. We got it.
That was good. It's good meeting you, man.
Yeah, man. You too. Thanks, guys.
See ya.